What if your entire life changed because of 1/10 of a second? Not a minute, not even a full second, just zero point 0.1. A fingertip on a wall, a final reach. A single breath held a fraction longer than the man beside you. August 9, 1932. Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum Pool. The Olympic 400-meter freestyle final. With 25 meters left, Buster Crabbe was not leading. In fact, he was in trouble. France's Jean Tarzan, the world record holder, was ahead and pulling strong. The crowd expected the Frenchman to win. Crabbe was fighting for position, his strokes shortening, his body screaming for air. Then something happened. He later described it as instinct. One final surge. No calculation. No thought. Just will. He hit the wall in 4 minutes, 48.4 seconds. Tarzan finished in 4 minutes, 48.5 seconds. 1/10 of a second. That was the margin. That was the difference between silver and gold. That was the difference between anonymity and immortality. But to understand that moment, you have to go back 4 years earlier. In 1928, on the long voyage to Amsterdam for his first Olympics, Crabbe became seriously ill. He lost between 10 and 15 pounds crossing the Atlantic. By the time he arrived, he was weak. His coach had to return home, leaving him largely on his own. Worse still, his best events were not even on the Olympic program. He competed anyway, against odds, against strength he didn't fully have. He won a bronze medal in the 1,500 meters. And in the 400 meters, he missed another medal by 1/10 of a second, the same margin that would define him in 1932. Think about that. The smallest measurable fraction in racing. First it denied him, then it crowned him. That gold medal in Los Angeles did more than give him a place on a podium. Hollywood was watching. Studios were always searching for strong, athletic, clean-cut men who could embody American heroism. Crabbe fit the image perfectly. Within months, he was under contract. What followed was something no other actor has ever duplicated. He played Tarzan, he played Flash Gordon, and he played Buck Rogers. 3 of the most famous adventure heroes of the 1930s. Jungle King, Space Savior, Futuristic Soldier, different worlds, same man. Even today, no other performer holds that trifecta. The Flash Gordon story alone feels like fiction. In 1936, Universal Studios prepared a lavish serial based on the popular comic strip. Crabbe did not even intend to audition. He believed the concept. Space travel, alien worlds, ray guns was too far-fetched for movie audiences. He showed up simply to observe. Producer Henry McCrae noticed him standing in the back. Tall, broad-shouldered, athletic, McCrae walked over and offered him the role outright. No audition, no screen test. Paramount, who had him under contract, agreed to loan him out, assuming the project would likely fail. It did not fail. Universal invested nearly 3 times the usual serial budget, around $350,000. They reused elaborate sets from earlier films, giving Flash Gordon a scale audiences had never seen in a weekly chapter production. The gamble paid off. It became the studio's second highest grossing release of 1936. Not just among serials, among all films. Theaters even added evening showings, something rare for serials typically aimed at children on Saturday mornings. Adults came. Families returned week after week. Flash Gordon became more than entertainment. It became cultural memory. And somewhere in California during the 1950s, a young boy sat in a dark theater watching those cliffhangers, watching the scrolling opening text, watching the wipes between scenes, watching a fearless hero battle an evil emperor in outer space. That boy was George Lucas. Years later, Lucas tried to secure the rights to remake Flash Gordon. He was unsuccessful, so he created his own space saga instead. The opening crawl of text, the princess in peril, the dark-robed villain, the sweeping adventure tone, all echoes of those childhood serials. The world would come to know it as Star Wars. So trace it back. If Buster Crabbe had lost by 1/10 of a second in 1932 instead of winning, perhaps Hollywood never notices him. If Hollywood never notices him, perhaps he never becomes Flash Gordon. And if Flash Gordon never captures a young boy's imagination, perhaps cinema history looks very different. Fame, of course, had its lighter and stranger moments. To resemble the comic strip hero, Universal bleached Crabbe's naturally dark-haired blonde. In the 1930s, that drew attention. He later joked that when he politely removed his hat in elevators, some men would comment on the bleached hair. Occasionally, words turned into scuffles. An Olympic champion defending his dignity over a studio hairstyle. Hollywood glamour had its price. Through it all, swimming remained his anchor. He never stopped training. Decades after his Olympic triumph, he returned to the same Los Angeles pool. In 1971, at age 63, he competed in the Masters division in the 400 meters, the very event that had defined him. He set a world record for his age group. Same distance, same water, nearly 40 years later. At 72, he was reportedly swimming between 1,000 and 3,000 yards a day, even in cold conditions. He maintained his physique within a few pounds of his Olympic weight. While many former athletes fade into memory, Crabbe kept moving. He also became a vocal advocate for senior fitness. He wrote exercise books aimed specifically at older Americans, arguing that most fitness programs ignored people over 55. He believed aging did not mean surrendering vitality. He spoke about movement as dignity, as independence, as life itself. Then came a quiet, almost poetic ending. On April 13, 1983, Buster and his wife Virginia celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary. 50 years of marriage in an industry not known for stability. 10 days later, on April 23rd, he suffered a sudden heart attack at home in Arizona. He was 75. Just days before, he had been swimming, active, strong, in motion. His ashes were scattered over the Pacific Ocean. The water that had shaped him, carried him, crowned him, and sustained him for a lifetime. When you look at the art of his life, it almost sounds scripted. A sick young swimmer who nearly collapses before his first Olympics. A bronze medal earned through weakness. A gold medal won by a fingertip. A studio contract born from that single race. An accidental audition that creates a screen icon. A space hero who quietly inspires the biggest film franchise in history. A senior athlete setting records in his 60s. A man swimming almost until his final days. Without records, it would sound exaggerated. But it happened, timed, filmed, documented. So let me ask you, what stands out most? The 1/10 of a second that changed everything? The fact that one man played Tarzan, Flash Gordon, and Buck Rogers? Or the image of a 63-year-old champion touching the same wall again, proving time had not erased him? Tell me in the comments. I read every one. And if you enjoy stories like this, about the legends of classic Hollywood and the moments that shaped entertainment history, be sure to subscribe. There are many more remarkable lives to uncover.